do something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
G'day, folks. How are you? Hope you're having a pretty good sort of a day of it this very, well, it was sort of fine for a Tuesday. At least it was around here. I haven't been able to get the washing dry, but I did get the washing done. So I guess that's one good thing. Certainly last night's show seems to have stirred up a bit of interest. And that's good. Conversation is good. So let's have those conversations. I'm all for it. So don't be shy. And if you want to wade in, I mean, it's not a conversation is a polite thing usually. So let's see if we can keep it that way. I know it's a very passionate topic for many people, but let's try and keep it civil. Otherwise, it gets us nowhere as a group, because humanity is never going to level up if we keep attacking each other. Keep saying it, keep doing it, but that's just sadly the way that it is. In the house tonight for, I don't know if it's the first time, but certainly the first time in a while, Sandy and What The, basically level pegging, getting in the house. So What The, I hope you're doing all right. I know I owe you a phone call. Greg has had bandage changes on the feet. Well, just on one foot. Skin's growing in from the outside into the area that needs to be filled in, so that's looking really great. And I'm really pleased for you, mate. I'm glad things are going well. So everybody's thumbs up and smiles at the moment by the sounds of. And the lovely Sandy, God love you. Tia, who we showed you a couple of photos of last week, who'd been in the intensive care unit, unfortunately passed away over the weekend. So Sandy and Baz obviously taking care of her right to the end. So thank you guys for everything that you do. And it's never easy when it happens, even though she was a very sick donkey. So it happens. Lady Ryder in the house. Lady Ryder Rose, Albi, Ali, I get you right, Ali. Connie, the lovely Connie, we were talking today. Lovely to have you back on board, and I hope the Pipe Buster is doing well as well. The lovely Aussie Sue, don't forget all those good things. Now, speaking of liking, sharing, and subscribing, Skipper Pete, God love him, he's about to play host to Black Sheep sometime over the weekend, the next few days. Expect some videos out of that, certainly some pictures. Skipper Pete lives very close to and has a boat for Hinchinbrook, and it's a bit rough to go outside out and onto the reef to go fishing, but he can go up the channel in Hinchinbrook Channel pretty well, and never know what they might find lurking up there under the waters, including a great deal of saltwater crocodiles. But at any rate, Black Sheep is off to catch up with Skipper Pete. And I was talking to him today. So God love you, mate. Thank you very much. And he taught me, he talked to me through how you can hype a video. And it has something to do with 3 buttons on the side of your chat. And that's about as far as I got. But we'll get back to it. Toxic's in the house. How are you, brother? Trust you're doing okay. Paul is in the house. I'm just trying to catch up and read a few things. You've been... looking into light. We grew up with lights, gave out near constant light nowadays. It's all pulsed at various frequencies depending on AC or LED variety. You're right. All those sorts of lights. And if you give kids screen time, in fact, I watched a very interesting short video on this only recently. The elites of the world do not let their children anywhere near a phone or a tablet or any kind of computing device until they're 12. And that's because their brains, children's brains, are not capable of the dopamine overload that happens with all the flashing lights and all the colors and all the movement and everything else. And you can actually see that happen to a baby's brain when you stick an iPad in front of them for the first, few times you do it, because you do it to put something on that distracts them, stops them crying. But that is the beginning of the danger and the damage that is done to them. G'day, Gail. Tony, love you, brother. Trust you're doing okay. The lovely Deb Shippard, looking forward to seeing you this weekend when we traipse our way to Adelaide. And I'll be heading to Adelaide on Thursday, and we're then heading up to Wilmington Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the big events up there, and then back into Adelaide and home again. So thank you very much to Deb, and I'm looking forward to seeing you and many others who are going to be making the trip to what is, I think, going to be one hell of a weekend at the Stony Creek Bush Camp and Caravan Park in Wilmington, or just out of. There is. Oz, for me, nice to have you in the house, mate, and trust you're going well. You got that phone number, I hope. And Penny, hope you are doing well. And I'll scroll down the house. Chaos, haven't seen you around for a while, or maybe I just haven't been looking. My apologies if that is the case, but nice to see you floating around, and you all seem to be having a great chat about all different things. G'day, Jude, and Paul Orchard. We get a few Pauls who poke their heads in here. The Synchronicity Show is in town, and I don't know, have you put up another video? I haven't been back to go and have a look. I must go back to have another look. I'm one of your followers now, or one of your subscribers, so you should feed me. Seymour, feed me. There's an old line out of an old movie, eh? All right, doesn't seem to be too much in there for me, so let's kick into the fun part of the show. Now, this evening, well, first of all, I want to hear, what do you see? Now, this has come today off the official White House X account. Now, I want to ask you, what do you see? Okay, I should have organised some thinking music. Maybe I can do a little. Oh, how about I do this for thinking music?
Oh, wake up, hear the sound. Truth is going round. Open hearts, open minds. Leave the fear behind. Say it clear, say it true. Every voice matters too. Stand up, let it be. Talk it out, feel free. Let it be free to speak, you and me. Oh, loud and free, voice of freedom. Carly-Bo. Carly-Bo. Real words, no disguise. Hear it loud, no compromise. Join the sound, feel the key. Voice of freedom. Carly-Bo.
Right. Well, I think you get the idea, don't you? I've got to thank a mate of mine for giving me that. What do you see on that? Did I turn that off? I hope I turned that off. I'll mute it, maybe. A lot of you, I see, you see Q or the beginning of this or beginning of that, and that. We're going to talk a bit about that. But what you don't see in that is D.C., Washington, D.C., and we brought this up some time ago, and I got publicly abused for it at one time. And somebody said, "Oh, you're the bloke that says Washington isn't in D.C. anymore. There is no D.C." Well, no, there's not. And there hasn't been since Trump took power this time round, after making some different changes. Now, a lot of us over the years have been accused of many, many, many things. A lot of us have been laughed at, abused, and humiliated because we dared to follow and have some knowledge, dive down a rabbit hole that had a Q at the front of it. And whether you were deep diving into Q drops or you were just listening to others decode those Q drops and their interpretations of what it all meant, somewhere along the line, you like me, probably got sucked into all of this. And along the line, you, like many others, have quite probably got to a point where you've been attacked enough, you've been ridiculed enough, you've basically had a frig enough. You do not want or need that kind of crap in your life going forward. So you've moved away from or become less active in what was once called the Q movement. Well, there are some interesting things posted up, and it sort of began with, I thought I had a better close-up of this, but I don't, unfortunately. It began with something like this, which is an X post with a reference to 4 executive orders that from Donald Trump's first term, and it was sent at the real Ricardo Bozzi. I found that the bald eagle pinning the kangaroo down was an interesting kind of analogy. But then the White House today really started putting some stuff out. President Trump signs the executive order unleashing American quantum technologies and innovation. What does this herald in? You might recall Trump has been saying and talking about a golden age. Well, all this on the White House site today. The golden age of American quantum. These orders are quite astounding. And, well, let's not listen to me prattle on about them. Let's hear the man himself, President Donald Trump.
Quantum technologies represents the next generation of innovation across computing, sensing, and networking with enormous significance for our country's economic growth, scientific research, and cyber security. It's really a big deal that we're doing today, and the country is doing really well, as you know. In 2018, I signed the National Quantum Initiative Act into law, which led to doubling the federal government investment in quantum research and development. I think you all know about that. That helped unleash billions of dollars of private investment in America's quantum industrial base, promoting significant scientific and technological progress like we've never seen before, actually. We want to keep that positive momentum going in America with the orders that I'm signing today, and these will really have place it a big step forward. We're already the leader by a lot, and we're going to be now the leader by a lot more. Quantum technologies represent.
So there you go. Quantum technologies, leaps ahead in technologies, really amazing stuff, he said. Stuff we've never seen before. Since that announcement, if you like, there have been more stories of medbeds coming out, and more particularly, they're ramping up the future of medicine made in America. So the Q for quantum, at least this time round, is creating a mania, a quantrumpomania. I don't know how you get away. Trummania? Trummania. I don't know. You get it. You figure it out. But at any rate, the White House seems to be exceptionally excited about it. Now, on Telegram, where not everything you get sent may well be factual, as one would hope, I was sent something today from an entity known as USA People, who was, and the message was QFS emergency broadcast. Now, if you're on my Telegram channels, one of them, you'll see that there. I've posted it there. And then I've said, be careful what you see. Don't believe everything that you see. That is certainly one of those things. But that's a little different to what I'm talking about here, with DC being gone from any reference to the White House and Washington. That is significant, because if it's not in the District of Columbia anymore, where is it? Which leads me to something else. If you keep a track of the Q files, if you like, the Q drops and the vast number of decodes that have come from those, a great many of them rest in the fact that we would all be very, very surprised and shocked at who the first arrest would be, the first public arrest in this quantum, if you like, new future. And many of us for a long time have been suggesting that might be Donald Trump. If it wasn't going to be Donald Trump, it probably would be Obama. But nobody would find that a great surprise. So they would find the arrest of Donald Trump to be an issue. And I can't for the life of me wonder why they might arrest him. But it is interesting that all things Q seem to be coming back to the fore today. And, of course, Albo had a lot to say about it. Ah, that was his look on his face. Albo today, there's a few things I want to talk about Albo in this little piece I'm going to play you. I meant to cut this up, so forgive me. I'm going to play the whole piece. It's only a minute long, but there are two things in this we're going to need.
My job isn't to give advice to this bloke, but my advice is, how about you stand up to One Nation on something? How about you prepared to follow this bloke's leadership and not bend the knee when asked questions like, do you support monoculturalism for Australia? Not a complex question, because we've never been a monoculture. We have different people, of different faiths, different ethnicities, different backgrounds are what make up Australia, and it must be said, have made up Australia forever. This is a pining for a time that has never existed in this country. A pining for a time that has never existed. The First Fleet had people in chains and people were in charge. Had Protestants and Catholics. It had a multicultural society, and it continues to have one.
The Prime Minister just told you more lies. But you'd expect that. The man is absolutely an idiot. And he displayed it there. The First Fleet, if you like, wasn't multicultural. There were people in chains and there were people who weren't. All right? And those people in chains were Irish, Scottish, British. They weren't from Africa. They weren't from America. They weren't from Norway or Sweden or any other place. They came from a Western civilized democracy. Well, civilized at the time, I guess. And a very similar culture. One could wager that the Welsh, the Scottish, and the Irish all have a very different culture, and I would agree with it 100% than those of the British or the UK. No, the Britain. I'll get that right. Because sometimes the united part of the United Kingdom isn't all that united. So I would argue that there was a little bit of multiculturalism, if you like, on the boats, but that was simply because it's come from Europe, which was already melding through blood for centuries before they got over here. But at any rate, the Irish, the Scottish, the Welsh, and the Brits arrived here, hardly multicultural, but that's what our leader of this nation believes multiculturalism is. People in chains and people who weren't. That's multiculturalism. That's the leader of this nation, folks. Let's hope he does a Keir Starmer. And God, how many times today have I heard, let's hope he does a Keir Starmer? He is an embarrassment of a human being that if any of us had to bet any money at all, I suggest we would suggest he wouldn't be sticking his head up for the 2028 election should it get that far. And I don't think it's going to get that far. Best money at the moment is saying federal election toward the middle of next year, or if they get really panicked by what's going on with One Nation, then they could essentially go before the Victorian state election in November, and that would make it very difficult for I think One Nation to be prepared and ready on a federal scale. I could be wrong. There could be a lot of work going on in the background. It's not like they ring me up. God, they don't even answer my messages these days, not surprisingly, but they could be working feverishly behind the scenes. And let's just, take into account they do have some extra funding now in the kitty that would enable them to speed certain aspects of this clearance process, if you like, along. But it does get held up when certain areas like the AFP get involved, and they've got to do, all state and international, say Interpol checks on people, because they did get caught with a candidate that I think was in the South Australian election, and it came out in the days or weeks leading up to the election in South Australia that this person had actually been charged with and was either on the run from or had escaped the charges by coming to Australia from charges in the UK. So, and they were historic charges. So that was pretty bad. They didn't need that. I think it was in the week leading up to the election. They really didn't need that. However, they surmounted it. They had another person stuck in there 2 days before the election. Thanks, Vince. They had another person, I think, ready to go pretty much straight away. So this backgrounding is very important. And you've got to understand One Nation have been flooded, I guess, with thousands potentially of candidate nominations, people putting themselves up or nominating others. And each one of you who does this needs to pay a certain fee. Now, we were speaking to Trevor the other night, Friday night, about it. So the fees involved, if you want to be a candidate, you have to join the party, which I think is $70. Then if you want to join as a candidate, you have to pay a candidate registration fee, which is somewhere in the vicinity of $180. On top of that, you'll have to pay for the security check, which I think is $85. You wouldn't expect One Nation to clip that ticket on the way past. I think that'll just go straight to the feds or whatever agencies are doing it. And I gather that the fee you're paying, that 100 and whatever at 80 something, I think it's close to $180. That fee would be being used in part to pay for the people that are required to go through and do these checks. Hopefully now that they've had nearly a $5 million influx of cash, and that influx of cash is in real time, so in 2 weeks they've had that sort of money pour into them, they've been able to stick a few more bodies on the job or employ a couple of more companies, because it is imperative that they start getting this whole thing together sooner rather than later. It is, real bad. Speaking of real bad, Albo done a thing. The cost of the checks, that was $85, I think, Vince. Albanese government strikes a deal with the Greens. So we're going to get the tax hike in exchange for the NDIS inquiry. I mean, you what? So let's have a better look. The Albanese government has done a dirty deal with the Greens to pass the Labor's controversial tax changes in exchange for a longer inquiry into its NDIS overhaul. The Greens announced on Tuesday they'd secured an 8-week extension to scrutinise Labor's planned NDIS reforms designed to cut $17 billion from the scheme. Hang on a minute. The Greens are crowing that they have secured another 8 weeks to figure out how they can fight the reforms of the NDIS and stop those cuts of $17 billion from the scheme, or stop as many of them as they possibly can. In return, the Greens confirmed that they would wave through Labor's plan to scrap negative gearing for future buyers and implement a minimum 30% capital gains tax. The tax package will be amended to close a loophole for self-managed super funds buying properties for investment. Thank you, the Greens. The Greens have given Labor everything they want to pass this, tax reform, everything they want, so that they can extend by 8 weeks the inquiry into the NDIS, the inquiry designed to cut as much as, if not more, than $17 billion of theft and waste out of the system. And that 8 weeks, they're expecting they'll get a few more ideas on how they can protect many areas, I suggest, inside the NDIS that need to be scraped out and thrown in the bin. So they've helped the largest bunch of criminals in town get away with their little job in return for what will be a very soft look at the inquiry. And, well, look, we helped you through with that, with those tax changes. So now you're not going to cut 17 billion. You're only going to cut 12 billion. And you're going to leave that 5 billion allocated somewhere else to, these people who won't miss out then. That'll be the backhand deals that the Greens are looking to do. And once again, if you were stupid enough like me to sit through question time in Parliament today, you would see that this nation is being run by a bunch of school children. It's embarrassing. It is shockingly embarrassing. And then, like a very weak school principal, the dick who sits in the Speaker's chair, and I call him the Dick because I can't think of his first name, but I know his last name is Dick, sits in the Speaker's chair. What a waste of space that man is. He's running a protection racket for the Labor Party, and you'd expect that given his roots. But to listen to the jeers, to listen to the insults, to listen to the false guffawing coming across those halls, and then in the middle of it all, the Speaker Dick stands up and says, I'd like to welcome dignitaries who are in the House today from other jurisdictions. Oh, the Mayor of Toowoomba and the Mayor of here and the Mayor of there. Right after these children had been squabbling and bitching and spitting at each other over what is meant to be sacred ground in the Parliament. I am surer now than I ever have been before that going to Canberra is like going to boarding school. And if you haven't been to boarding school, you won't understand what it's truly like. But let me give you an insight. The new kids don't get a say. The new kids might be lucky to get some butter on their toast at breakfast when they turn up for the first few weeks, because they don't know the etiquette, or they don't know yet how to fight for their square of butter. Parliament is exactly the same. A bunch of bullies at the top, a bunch of weak cowards ranging through the rest. Some are less cowardly, some are less weak, some are mice. Some are just there because they say yes, and they are deliberately there just to say yes. I was talking about this today with someone when it comes to electing and who do you elect, who is a good candidate for your area. And I can only speak to regional areas because that's where I grew up. But in regional areas, for mine, The people that got into state and or federal politics, not that I was terribly involved in it, but the people who got involved in that were usually older, usually had been in business, and usually were of an age where they were passing that business on to their sons or their daughters, and they still wanted to give back to the community. That isn't what happens anymore. Today, there'll be a footballer who's known as a bloody good footballer through the league, not just in his town, but through the league. In his local town, he'll be a hero, but he has a career-ending injury and sadly has to, head to the bench and take the final shower. All of a sudden, the political parties look at him and say, oh, geez, he's popular. And he's got a bit of a social media following too. Now that his career's a bit stuffed, he'll probably dive into that social media career, might become a fisherman, might start doing his own TV shows, might start doing this, might start doing that. Shit, we want to get to him before he starts doing all that. We lost the last one. Remember Andrew Eddingshausen? They wanted him in politics. Do you remember what happened to Mal Meninga when they wanted Mal Meninga in politics? I think it was the Liberal Party that stood him up. He got on board for his first interview, and I want to say it was a pretty soft interview somewhere in Canberra, might have been the ABC, and it is some of the most painful listening and viewing that you're ever going to see and or hear. He bailed on the interview on the first question, and it was simply the wrong man for the job. But he was picked by a party because of his likability to everybody else. Now, Mel, God love him, knows how to play football, knows how to coach Australia, and I've been very fortunate to have met the man on a number of occasions. But you wouldn't want him in Parliament making decisions for you. Not a guy who's spent, the better part of the last 20 years at the time living a pretty high life and a very well-plumped ego sort of lifestyle, traveling the world, either playing the highest grade rugby league or commentating on it, and going to Parliament to be bullied by a bunch of kids who couldn't have made the A-grade footy team wouldn't have been high on his list. So that failure of that interview was meant to be for him, because Mel's not that kind of bloke who'd come on and be happy to tell you lies. As we found Labor have become extremely adept at doing. I found a couple of things rather interesting about the speech. Our tax reform will give better alignment for income earned from work with income earned for assets and wealth. Now, that was Albanese saying that. Our tax reform, will give better alignment for income earned from work with income earned for assets, from assets, and wealth. You don't get assets or wealth without work. That work has already been taxed. Albanese is lying to you again. But the Greens now are helping him out, and the Greens are helping him out because, well, they welcome the tax changes, but also claim they didn't go far enough because they grandfathered negative gearing entitlements. Oh, God. Now the Greens think it didn't go far enough. Doesn't that just signal Labor to say, well, what else can we push through? Not that they did today, but, well, what do you mean we didn't go far enough last time? What can we slip through with you this next time? And there will be a next time and a next time and a next time until we get to the next federal election and get rid of these bastards. I had a very interesting conversation today with a man who shall remain nameless at this point. We were talking about the Governor-General. Now, the Governor-General is the head of the Defence Forces. If the Governor-General gave anybody in the Defence Force an order, they would follow it. The Governor-General is meant to be the Queen's representative here in this nation, but we all know that that isn't the case. The current bum seated on the seat at the Governor-General's house there in Yarralumla, Sam Mostyn, is best mates with Albanese and was appointed by Albanese, not the Queen or the King, I beg your pardon. And that makes Sam Mostyn the Australian government's representative in a weird way, to no one in particular, but it looks like the King. And there is a big difference in what I've just told you. Those differences, I believe, are going to be coming out sooner rather than later, with a lot of truth to be told in the next few days. Now, if you have been looking at silver and gold prices lately, you've probably gone, what the hell? All part of what's going on with this quantum financial system change. And you heard Trump say there that with this quantum technologies change, there is going to be a great deal of change in cybersecurity, in banking, in finance, and all of that. Well, we've been saying for some time that that looked to be what was on the cards. In fact, there are many people who I guess have called QFS at various different times. Oh, sorry, not QFS. Well, QFS, but QSI, the Quantum Stellar Initiative, fakes, thieves, all sorts of different things. And yet, I have to say, looking more and more at it, not because I particularly want to, but because I'm drawn to, given the changes that we're seeing in the system, that Stellar is certainly going to be a very big something. And the Quantum Stellar group, I think, is been trying to educate, been trying to get people involved with it, and in fact beta testing the system that the world will go into, and I believe it'll go into it in a very big way in a very short time. Those announcements from Donald Trump today were huge, absolutely huge. And the fact that he is putting health forward in such a large way as well. And when I say a large way, they are showing that RFK is the future of medicine and being made in America. There is this on top of all the other disclosure and revelations that have been coming out over the last week regarding UAPs or UFOs, depending how old you are and what you'd prefer to call them. But we're all talking about the same thing, unidentified things that fly around in the sky, occasionally dismember cows and take human beings. Or do they? Well, got to say the jury's still out for the most part. I haven't seen anything at the moment that really relates to aliens on the ground. They may well be flying above us at various times, whenever they choose, but I haven't seen any reliable evidence of aliens on the ground, in spite of the pictures that Donald Trump seems to be putting out and getting ahead of the curve, you know, with him walking across the White House lawns, getting onto the helicopter with an alien walking along beside him. There is a lot of disclosure coming, and this month, leading up to July 4th, I think is going to have a lot of shocks for a lot of people. And I sincerely hope that that is the case, because we have waited long enough. We have seen the horrible things that man can do to man. This new beginning, this new quantum future, promises a new future, not just for each of us individually, but for humanity in general. A lot of people are going to resist this change. I thought it would be something that would happen pretty quickly, because I tend to embrace this sort of thing, embrace change. But for those who are resistant to change, then yes, this could be a frightening, terribly frightening occurrence. And sadly, I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I don't think it's going to happen over a month. I don't think it's going to happen over a year. I think it's going to happen over a few years. But that will be because I believe there will be great releases of technology, bursts, if you like, of the technology being released. Then there will be a time where we will discover how to use that technology to best advantage. And then there'll be another tranche of new technology, new surprises, new freedoms unlocked. But we're going to need to level up to make that happen. Each and every one of us, humanity is going to need to level up. And as I've been saying for weeks now, for years, we are never going to do that until we become accountable for our own decisions. And that requires making sure you're conscious and aware of the ramifications of those decisions. Every decision has a consequence. If you plan for the consequences, you make good decisions. Oh, God, I wish I'd taken that bit of advice on board years ago. I'm really good at giving it, but I'm not very good at taking it. No, I'm not going to go there. Get myself in a lot of trouble with a lot of people. So there you go. That's my thoughts on what's going on in the world. Has anybody got any questions for tonight? Because I'm running a little early. I thought I might have had another video. But unfortunately, that one didn't quite turn up. I've had some interesting conversations today with some folks who are very interested in seeing change in our political structure. They don't really know what change that would be. And we were talking about how that might look. If, for instance, let's say Peter and Donna's research proves to be correct and that the Constitution is not, in fact, valid and that all laws signed under the old one are invalid. What is that next step? Does everybody that's currently in jail get out? No. Is there anarchy on the streets because the police have no powers and people go off and do whatever they want? No. There is, I could advertise the merch. There is a variety of things that we can do. Thank you, Vince. You've just thrown me. So why don't we go to the merch then? That's a good idea. I've forgotten where I was going with that. It's always the problem when you're ad-libbing and you're working at the wrong end of the day for me. I've been up since 4:30 this morning. Yes, folks, the merch is always a good place to go. In fact, I'm looking forward to seeing and testing Vince's wind cheater because he has, I think, one of the first hoodies that we've received from our new hoodie maker. I will be bringing my old hoodie to keep me warm, and we'll be able to do a thickness test, a thickness comparison, and a warmth comparison. So, but I'm pretty confident they're going to be good. So if you want to check out our merch, it is very easy to do, and you can create your own in many cases. Merch.vofhq.com is the site. The coffee cups have been popular with a range of different words on them, and we didn't make those words up. They are real words. There is T-shirts, there is caps. I think there are stubby holders and a few other things there. Every little bit helps us keep doing what we're doing. And I wouldn't be able to go on the road this week and get to South Australia without you guys chipping in. And in fact, essentially what happened was the other week when everybody got very generous on that evening, that enabled me to go and buy an air ticket to be able to go to this show. And then, I don't know if she wants me to mention her name, so I won't. One of you wound up reimbursing me for the cost of that air ticket. So that was unbelievably generous. Thank you so much. But we are an ongoing cost, unfortunately. So we like to try and give back where we can. And at the moment, the merch is the only way that we appear to be able to do that. However, we might be able to help you out with a very good deal on all sorts of things happening in Vanuatu in the near future. So stick around for that. And I say that will happen in the very near future. We're just waiting to catch up with a couple of people from Vanuatu and come up with the appropriate deal. Pipe Master, you're a legend of a human being. That's a coffee for me and a coffee for Vince. We will be making good use of that just after I arrive in Adelaide on Thursday morning, I'm hoping. So, yeah, looking forward to that tremendously. And really looking forward to getting up and catching up with Wayne and everybody else who's heading to Stony Creek Bush Camp and Caravan Facility. It is going to be a wild weekend. Remote control cars. Now, a bunch of 60-year-old blokes playing with remote control cars. Bear in mind, we came from the era where your remote control car had a cord attached to it. And if you were lucky enough to have one of those, you were a rich kid, a really rich kid. And the cord was only about 1 meter long, so you had to walk along behind the car anyway. That's how I remember remote control cars when I was a kid. And slot cars, wow. I did have a very cheap slot car set. It must have been, let's call it 1 meter long, I would say. And it was just a loop, a donut, if you like. And I found it pretty boring, and the cars never stayed on the track. And every time we wanted to use it, we had to use methylated spirits and earbuddy things, you know, those sticks with cotton on them, to clean the rails, make the connections work. So I believe technology has come forward from that, and we will be exploring that as 60-year-old kids will this weekend. Thoroughly looking forward to getting in and trying it, to be honest. Really looking forward to it. Also, people have been asking, can they send us videos? One of you trolls who loves sending us videos uses AI and creates wonderful things out of my voice. Well, when I say wonderful things, I wouldn't know. I never watch them. I never see them. Vince deletes them. And yeah. So I'm sorry, your creativity is completely lost on me at any rate. And I've probably overspoken when I've said creativity because Vince doesn't call it anything like creative. Not usually anyway. I mean, if it gave us a laugh, you might get a run, but we just don't get a laugh. However, we are getting people who are interested in sending us video from various different things, be that news bits and pieces that they might see, or indeed files that they've found and downloaded over the day, over the course of the day. So I think if you would like to send those to us, please do. The address is there, contrib.vofhq.com. If you do that, you'll be able to upload reasonable sized files, and all you need to do is type in a thing. It will be done anonymously, so nobody will know who sent it to us, and least of all us. So it's always nice to get something from you, and when we don't know who you are, it's always beautiful. I will give you driver of the day today, although it's not actually the driver that is the dickhead. Well, no, let's face it, it is usually always the driver that's a dickhead. But this case, it may not be the driver that is the dickhead. The owner of the car is certainly the dickhead, 100%. Why are they the dickhead? Well, they bought an electric car. Have a look at this. Dum-de-dum-dum-dum. Dum-de-dum-dum-dum. Oh, fuck! that spoil your day a bit? That EV turned right without any input from the driver at all. If the car in the lane in between them had been beside it, it would have gone straight into the side of that one, bounced off and gone over into the other lane, I'm sure. So weird things happening with EV cars, and we're about to get, or just had 5,000 of them turn up with BYD. This is a very unhappy thing. Kathy, my Lord, thank you so much. Oh, thank you very much, Kathy. That's so generous of you. Appreciate you so much. And it will definitely help. We've got to put fuel in Vince's car to get us from Adelaide to Mannum, Mannum to, that dog farted down here again. Either that or it's just died. Oh, my God. Oh, burns your eyes. Oh, you are sick. Sorry. Oh, yeah. So yeah, we've got to get fuel in Vince's car up to Wilmington, and then back down to Adelaide, and then back to Mannum. He's got to drop me off in Adelaide, and he's got to get back to Mannum. So every little bit will help. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate it, Kathy. Can't thank you enough. So yeah, if you want to help us out, merch at vofhq.com. That'll be that one right there. I'm sure Vince is keeping all up to date with all of this. And certainly I can't, but I know many others can vouch for the shirts. Oh, actually, I can vouch for the shirts. What I can say is don't get a yellow one if you're an idiot like me who wears it out and does yard shit in it. Because I washed it today thinking, I'll take that along with me to South Australia. And I don't know, I've stained it to buggery. So if you're anything like me and you stain shit really easily, buy black. And the quality of the shirt, absolutely spectacular. So as long as it keeps you dry, warm, and that's the thing, they're thick. So, gee, thank you for all those caring folks who've commented on the dog fart. Bloody. Yes, it's hard because she's 17 years old and her bum is right here beside me, and she's essentially under my feet. And the other boy, who I haven't shown you, but he too is another spaniel, cocker spaniel, bit bigger. He has a problem in his mouth, whereby he has the baddest breath you've ever smelt in your life. And he woke me up with that this morning. Yeah, I'm going to have to change the pillows. But anyway, we do love animals, and I guess I've woken up to very bad breath before. So admittedly, she didn't have 4 legs, but I'm just saying. Wayno's in the house. Great quality material. Yeah, what we're feeding the dogs. No, looking forward to picking up everything that you're putting up to play when we get to Wilmington, dude. I can't wait. And for people who may or may not be interested, and you're going to the event, we're going to be running a raffle there. You will be able to pick up I think we've got 4 Voice of Freedom 1/10 of an ounce packs that we're going to put up for auction. Well, not auction, no, put up for raffle. We'll probably run 4 raffles for them. So we'll have those, and there may well be a bit of a gold that we're going to put up as well to try and raise enough money for me to get home, which would help maybe pay for the airport parking. It's going to be a fun trip. I really can't wait for it, and I really hope you can make it if you're over in South Australia, or indeed if you feel the urge to have a long, long weekend and make the trek from somewhere further afield, be that Victoria or Northern Territory, oh God, you've got to come a fair way out of the Northern Territory. But I do have friends in Coober Pedy. I don't know how long that'll be, probably a good 7-hour drive maybe. Anyway, we will find out. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody who turns up. And they're not just turning up for an event with us. I think Wayno's got another bigger event on that we're just playing a small role in. But I'm so looking forward to getting out, having a weekend away with some wonderful people and lifting our vibration, being accountable for our actions, being conscious that the decisions we make have consequences, and those consequences may not be bad for us, but they may be terribly bad for others. And this is where we need to really start evaluating greed in our lives, what's necessary and what's not. There is so much that we need to learn to step up, folks, but I really do believe we are learning it. Whether you are doing yoga twice a day, whether you sit down and do research all day, every day, whether you're out riding a bike, just going to work to earn a quid, whether you're a sportsman, whether you're an artist, it doesn't really matter. Every decision has a consequence. And as long as we're prepared to be accountable for those consequences, be accountable for our actions, and don't tell lies like that liar Albo, our life and the lives of everyone around you is going to get immeasurably better. And when that happens, there will, I promise you, be less dickheads on the road.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!